complete and overwhelming. Our hospitals destroyed, schools were left in ruins, our children sharing schools for 2 years, and thousands of homes uninhabitable. Our residents lived without electricity for 9 months. In those darkest hours, I witnessed something extraordinary, the unbreakable spirit of Virgin Islanders. We came together to support one another, rebuild our community, and lay the foundation for a stronger and more resilient future. While others simply saw the need to rebuild, I saw an opportunity for transformation. Many in my home leadership said I was asking for too much. I was out of place. By showing members of Congress on both sides of the aisles how many times infrastructure had been rebuilt after storms and how expensive that was, Congress recognized that the prudent replacement required that the Virgin Islands should rebuild not how things were at the time of the storm, but how they should have been. As the representative in Congress for my home at the time, I knew that recovery of this magnitude would require unprecedented federal support and innovative support approaches. That's why we fought for and secured transformational changes in federal law through the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018. This legislation allowed FEMA, for the duration of our recovery, to rebuild our critical infrastructure with resilient design features up to the latest industry building standards, regardless of what existed before the storms. This was not just a policy change, it was a paradigm shift. Instead of simply replacing what we had lost, we could build infrastructure designed to withstand future storms and serve our community for generations. I personally brought drafters of the legislation to meet with local government and FEMA officials to ensure that they understood the intent of this body in changing that law. The numbers speak for itself of the historic investment in the territory, almost $2 billion for rebuilding of our hospitals, several billion for our schools, and more than $4 billion for the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. In total, $20 billion flowing to our population. Recognizing that this even massive investment could be undermined by local matching requirements, I worked tirelessly with the last administration to secure an increase in the federal cost share to 95% for public assistance categories and 98% for larger critical infrastructure. This will save our territory $1 billion in matching funds that we simply do not have. Unfortunately, the local government has at times exacerbated the slow pace of rebuilding. The first years after the storm were not used to sufficiently build capacity or develop integrated project management, and we have had fits and starts in rebuilding. Our isolation and relatively small size create difficulty in obtaining supplies and labor. This is further exacerbated by delays that occurred at HUD and FEMA. However, the story of the Virgin Islands recovery is ultimately a story about partnership between federal and local government, between Congress and our territory, and most importantly, among Virgin Islanders themselves. We must be focused, transparent, adaptable, and driven to make our home the jewel of the Caribbean. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we refuse to accept that natural disasters must define our destiny. As we move forward, we carry with us lessons learned from Irma and Maria. We cannot, we will not squander this transformational opportunity. We will build smarter, stronger, more resilient, and we will continue to prove that Virgin Islanders, undeterred by any challenge, remain VI strong. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Guam for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise today with profound respect to commemorate the life and legacy of Irene Perez Pope Scambaluri, a Chamorro daughter of Guam, a survivor of World War II, and a tireless advocate for justice. At just 10 years old, Irene was eating breakfast with her family when the skies above Guam roared with warplanes. Her father, a U.S. Navy pharmacist, surrendered himself to protect his family, spending years in a Japanese POW camp. Irene, her mother, and siblings endured displacement, hunger, forced labor, and cruel treatment under occupation. She gave up her bed so her grandparents could rest, helped forage for food, and bore the weight of survival with quiet strength. At 13, she witnessed the return of American forces and trekked through mountains and devastation to reach safety. But her story didn't end there. Miss Irene transformed her pain into purpose. She spoke at schools, ceremonies, and even laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, becoming the first civilian to do so in honor of Guam's liberation. Her advocacy helped secure war reparations for Chamorro survivors, and her home phone became a lifeline for those seeking help. Her grandchildren called her the Bionic Woman, a fitting tribute to a woman who defied cancer, embraced technology, and danced through life with grace and grit. Her legacy is etched not only in the history books, but in the hearts of her family and the people of Guam. She reminded us that history lives among us and that the enduring Chamorro spirit will never be forgotten. We thank her, we honor her, and we carry her light forward. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Latimer, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, death comes to all of us at a time and a place unknown. It may come quietly after a long illness or swiftly and violently without warning. None of us are exempt. The youngest and the oldest amongst us will each face that moment. We know it, we fear it, and still we carry on, putting it out of our minds so that we can live, work, and love. In that certainty, we are united. Death does not discriminate by race or religion, gender or sexual orientation, or economic status. We are all equal in our mortality. On September 11th, 24 years ago, death came suddenly and violently. It struck without mercy or logic. It took office workers, firefighters, police officers, maintenance workers, financial executives, flight attendants, secretaries. It took Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and those with no faith tradition. They were targeted simply because they showed up to work. Others died trying to save them. Those first responders, the brave men and women of the FDNY, the New York Police Department, EMS, and Port Authority, ran into danger knowing full well the cost. Some lives were saved because of them, and many of those heroes never came home. The attacks were an attack of hate, of an ideology turned into violence. In hijacking airplanes, those terrorists tried to hijack our values, to cause casualties in pursuit of their beliefs, to use death as a weapon to divide us. But even as we still grieve, as we continue to lose 9/11 survivors to illnesses from that day, we remember something greater, that humanity goes on, even as individual lives are lost. Children who lost parents have grown up. Parents who lost children have passed on. Young Americans have graduated high school who were not yet born on that clear, bright September morning. We are reminded life continues, but it is up to us to give it meaning. In a deeper sense, we are all on the 107th floor of that day. We are all aboard Flight 93. We all carry the weight of that day, not just in mourning, but in mission. The universality of loss can and should be the foundation for our unity. So I ask, why then are we so divided? Have we learned nothing from this tragedy? If death unites us, Shouldn't life compel us to care for one another, to protect each other while we can? Evil still exists. It takes many forms. It still tries to convince us that terrorism or hatred can be justified, that violence can serve a cause. We must reject that lie always. The deaths on that day 24 years ago give us a chance to remember. We remember the lost, we honor the brave, and we reaffirm our shared responsibility to stand against hate and those who use death and terror to divide us, and hold fast to our common humanity. Let us say a prayer for the fallen, let us say a prayer for the living, and let us walk forward together in the shadow of that somber day. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield my time.
The chair recognizes a gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Smucker, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to recognize Kreider Farms of Lancaster County on 90 years in business. Kreider Farms began in 1935 when Noah Kreider and his wife, Mary Hershey, bought the Hershey Farm from Mary's father. Starting with 50 chickens and a dozen cows, the following decades saw the Penn Township Farm expand on their dairy and egg production. In 1972, Kreider Farms built their own processing plant and retail store for their milk and ice cream. 90 years later, Kreider Farm is the last full-scale egg and dairy farm in the United States. The fourth-generation business employs 475 people and encompasses 3,000 acres. They are the largest egg producer in Pennsylvania and help make Pennsylvania's 11th Congressional District the second-ranked egg-producing district in the nation. Kreider Farms' business practices are also noteworthy. Their focus on environmental responsibility and sustainability have won them numerous awards, and they are the first farm in the Northeast to be American Humane certified. Kreider Farms has brought joy and nutrition to countless families across Pennsylvania's 11th Congressional District and the nation for an astounding 90 years. I congratulate Chairman Ron Kreider and Kreider Farms for their hard work and their continuation of Pennsylvania's rich agricultural legacy. I wish them many more years of continued success. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the Shady Maple Smorgasbord on 40 years in business. In July 1985, Marv and Miriam Weaver added on to their farmers market and cafeteria with a new business venture, the Shady Maple Smorgasbord. Since then, Shady Maple has become the largest and one of the most highly rated buffets in the country. The restaurant covers 161,000 square feet, seats nearly 1,200 customers, and employs hundreds of people. Specializing in authentic Pennsylvania Dutch food, the buffet features hundreds of food options, as well as a from-scratch bakery and in-house smoked meats. Shady Maple Smorgasbord is just one part of the larger Shady Maple enterprise, which includes a farmer's market, a gift shop, and RV sales. The company has remained in family hands under Marv and Miriam's son, CEO Lynn Weaver, and President Phil Weaver. The farmer's market and smorgasbord complex employs 750 people and attracts over 1 million customers a year. As Shady Maple celebrates 40 years in business, I commend the Weavers for their hard work, from transforming a small cafeteria into a culinary destination that draws people from around the globe. May their success continue for the next 40 years and beyond. Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize the York County Agricultural Land Preservation Board for conserving the 50,000th acre of farmland in York County, which occurred at Star Rock Farms. Since its founding in 1990, the board has worked tirelessly to safeguard York County's rich agricultural heritage. Over the years, York County's farmland preservation program has become a model for protecting farmland from development and ensuring its availability for future generations. On August 20th of 2025, the board celebrated this historic milestone with the preservation of Star Rock Farms in Brogue, Pennsylvania, a family-owned third-generation operation led by cousins Rob Barley, Abe Barley Jr., and Tom Barley. Star Rock Farms was founded in 1932 by Abram M. Barley with the purchase of 12 acres in Manor Township in Lancaster County. Star Rock Farms has been a model operation and now raises dairy, beef, and swine in addition to growing crops in a sustainable manner. To date, 350 farms have been permanently preserved across York County, ensuring that our region's farming tradition continues to thrive. York County has shown how strong partnerships between government and landowners is necessary to protecting our nation's farms. York County ranks third in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and ninth in the nation in preserved farmland acreage. Together with Lancaster County, both located in Pennsylvania's 11th Congressional District, our region proudly stands as a national leader in farmland preservation. So again, I commend the York County Agricultural Land Preservation Board, not only for protecting farmland, but for preserving a way of life that sustains families, communities, and our nation. And I want to again thank Star Rock Farms for continuing to lead the way for agriculture in Pennsylvania's 11th District and for their efforts to support farmland preservation. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Barragan, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise because Donald Trump and House Republicans lied to Americans when they promised to lower cost. Now they're even trying to rebrand their so-called big, beautiful bill with a new name about working families. But no matter what label they slap on it, the facts don't change. Trump and Republicans' big, ugly law makes the cost of health care go up, and it takes away health care from working families. Republicans hand out an average of $80,000 in tax breaks to every millionaire. Where do they get this money from? Each millionaire tax cut is paid for by taking away insurance from 4 people. Republicans are stealing from the American people to fund these tax cuts. And what does it mean when 4 people lose their coverage? It means mom with diabetes may have to skip her insulin, or dad ignores chest pains because he can't afford the ER visit. Your child missing their asthma treatments and struggling to breathe in class. These are real lives on the line. Overall, the big ugly bill will take away health care coverage from 16 million people. When people lose coverage, they get sicker. There's longer wait times, hospital visits rise, and costs skyrocket for families and the entire system. House Democrats are fighting for a different vision. We're fighting to make sure that if you work hard, and you and your family should have health care and should be able to afford to see a doctor, to fill a prescription, and get the care you need without going bankrupt. While Republicans protect tax breaks for billionaires, Democrats are working to protect affordable coverage, lower prescription drug costs, and expand access to health care for working families. Because in our America, health care is not a privilege for the wealthy few, it's a right for every American. Madam Speaker, I rise today to dissent. This week, 6 members of the U.S. Supreme Court decided to allow ICE raids in Los Angeles that are rooted in racial profiling. This is a direct assault on our Constitution, on the very idea of equal justice under law. Justice Sonia Sotomayor said it best when she wrote, and I quote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, who speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent." And I agree and join that dissent. These raids are not about law and order. They are about targeting immigrants because of the color of their skin, the language they speak, the neighborhoods they live in, and the jobs they hold. I dissent. ICE is not chasing criminals. It is chasing families. I dissent. Nationwide, 71% of those in ICE custody at the end of July had no criminal convictions. Think about that. Tens of thousands of lives upended. Children left without parents, families torn apart, not because of what people did, because of who they are. That does not make us safer, it makes us weaker. It destabilizes our schools, our neighborhoods, and our workplaces. It harms industries that keep our economy running, construction, agriculture, hospitality, all while wasting taxpayer dollars on cruelty instead of real public safety. I dissent. Families across this country now live in fear because their very existence has been criminalized. This is not justice. This is persecution. I dissent. 6 members of the Supreme Court may have turned its back on equal justice, but Congress cannot. We must defend the Constitution, protect immigrant families, and ensure that no American community is left to live under the shadow of racial profiling in immigration enforcement. For those reasons, I join Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and I say, I dissent.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president, please. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, for decades, Jeffrey Epstein's abuse was an open secret powerful people knew, agencies knew, some in government knew, and yet year after year he continued to operate, trafficking, exploiting, and destroying the lives of children and young women. This was not only sexual violence, there were financial crimes. Epstein's empire was built on money, blackmail, and connections, and those connections reached into the highest halls of power. What makes this scandal unbearable is not just Epstein's evil, but the way institutions, Republican and Democratic administrations alike, looked away. No administration, past or present, has fully stepped up to bring the truth to light. The very agencies charged with protecting the vulnerable instead protected the powerful. And now, under Donald Trump, that cover-up has gone from negligence to active obstruction. Trump promised to release the files. He promised the American people transparency. Instead, he and his hand-picked lieutenants have buried the truth under a mountain of lies and contradictions. Let's review the record. In June of 2024, Trump said he would declassify the Epstein Files. His campaign even celebrated that promise online. On January 30th, Trump's FBI director, Kash Patel, vowed to release everything. On February 21st, Attorney General Pam Bondi said the client list was literally on her desk. As of today, none of that has materialized. But when Bondi told Trump in May that his own name appeared in those files, everything changed. Suddenly, the files were too dangerous to release. Then the Department of Justice claimed there was no client list at all. Trump went from promising full transparency to calling the files boring, then a hoax, then a dead issue. This is not transparency. This is a cover-up. Madam Speaker, when leaders abuse their office to shield predators, that is corruption of the highest order. When hundreds of survivors are denied justice to protect one man's reputation, that is a crime against the very idea of democracy. The majority often speaks about morality, but we are told about protecting children, about being pro-life, and standing up against human trafficking. So I ask my colleagues on the other side, where is that outrage now? Where is the moral clarity when the lives of trafficked and abused girls demand your courage? This is not about partisanship. This is about whether the United States Congress will side with survivors or with abusers. Will we protect the powerful, or will we protect the powerless? Trump threatens Republican members who demand justice in this matter. Like Epstein survivors, the majority are now terrorized by men in power to stay silent. I know that many aspects of this criminally corrupt scandal are horrible to look at and to think about, but we don't have to be divided. Together, we can be the solution and send a message that we will not let this happen again. So here's my demand. Release the files. Every name, every deposition, every page, unredacted, except to protect the survivors. No more excuses, no more delays, and no more hiding. Madam Speaker, sunlight is the oldest disinfectant. It is the only way to end the rot of corruption that let Epstein thrive, and it is the only way to give survivors the justice they deserve. Right now, there is a bipartisan effort in this House to force a vote on releasing the files. We need only 2 more Republicans to join us, 2 members who believe their oath to the truth is stronger than their loyalty to Donald Trump. 2 members who are willing to live up to the words they so often speak about morality, family, and protecting children. And let me say this, Americans are divided on so much today, but on this demand for justice, transparency, and accountability, we are united. Democrats, Republicans, independents, Americans across every community want this cover-up to end. At a time when our country desperately needs something to unite around, this could be it. The American people have waited long enough. The survivors have waited long enough. If our justice system means anything, it must mean justice for the vulnerable human beings that powerful men thought they could use and throw away. No more secrecy, no more corruption, no more for protection for predators. Madam Speaker, history will remember that what we do in this moment. And here is the truth. If we in Congress cannot unify to defy the most well-connected predator of our time, what good are we? I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart to honor Kelly Pierce, who tragically and unexpectedly passed away on August 1st of this year. Kelly was a beloved mom of 3 boys. She was a daughter, a granddaughter, a friend, a cousin, an aunt, and a women's soccer coach. Kelly coached at Pima Community College, Mountain View High School, CDO Soccer Club, and FC Tucson. But she's most recently known for coaching the South Point High School Lancers varsity women's soccer team, where she graduated from in 1999. As a player, Kelly won 2 state championships, and later as coach, she led the Lancers to 6 state championships in the past 8 years, a truly remarkable feat. Only 44 years old, Kelly was passionate and devoted to her family and her coaching. She was widely known in our community for her soccer talent and had been involved with youth soccer for nearly 20 years. She was an inspiration to young female athletes, instilling self-confidence and their power as individuals. Among her cousins, she was the leader with all the confidence, who was admired with the biggest, kindest, and most giving heart. And later in life, her boys were her everything. She was a dedicated mom who always prioritized them and their well-being over anything else. My prayers were with her 3 sons, Tyler, Brady, and Camden, and her partner, Joey Bernier, and her brothers, Jeff and Donald Pierce, and her large extended family, including her mom, her grandmother, and cousins, plus all the players she loved so much, both current and former. Kelly truly reflects what I love the most about our community and our district: hardworking, passionate, and dedicated. She leaves a humongous hole in our community and will be dearly missed. As her family, friends, and the entire South Point community grieves, know that our community is alongside of you. Kelly, may your legacy on this earth continue to inspire all of us today and our future generations. You will be dearly missed. May you rest in peace. Madam Speaker, I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Alabama, Ms. Sewell, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise to honor the extraordinary life and legacy of a civil rights icon and a beloved Birmingham pastor, Bishop Calvin Woods Sr., who passed away on August 16, 2025, at the age of 91. Bishop Woods was a cherished member of the Birmingham community, whose moral leadership served as a guiding light during the civil rights movement and beyond. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, Bishop Woods attended Parker High School before earning his bachelor's degree from Miles College. He went on to complete several more degrees at the Universal Bible Institute and Union Baptist Seminary, as well as the School of Truth. In 1956, Bishop Woods began his nearly 6 decades of involvement in the civil rights movement, co-founding the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights alongside his brother, Reverend Abraham Woods, and the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. Bishop Woods worked closely with Dr. Martin Luther King and participated in numerous civil rights demonstrations, including the Birmingham Campaign and the 1963 March on Washington. Following the shooting of 5 African-American protesters at a Birmingham supermarket, Bishop Woods planned public protests and later filed a lawsuit challenging the unjust suspension of school children for demonstrating against segregation. Despite being beaten, arrested, fined, and imprisoned, Bishop Woods was never afraid to stand up for what he believed was right. As a result of his fearless advocacy, he was appointed by Dr. King as an SCLC city convener for the Birmingham Ministers Leadership Conference. Bishop Woods was a devoted man of faith, whose love for his family and his community was unmatched. He spent more than 3 decades as pastor of Shiloh Baptist Church in Birmingham and held numerous leadership roles in the community. He served as a board member of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute and a member of the National Baptist Convention Board of Directors. In 2006, Bishop Woods was named president of the Birmingham SCLC, and 1 year later he became president of the New Era Baptist State Convention. Madam Speaker, on a personal note, I am forever grateful for the sacrifices that Bishop Woods made in the name of equality and justice for all. He stands as a testament to the power of ordinary Americans to achieve extraordinary social change. I know that I get to walk the halls of Congress as Alabama's first Black Congresswoman because of his courageous efforts. The city of Birmingham, the state of Alabama, and our entire nation are indebted to him for his tireless fight to end segregation. On behalf of Alabama's 7th Congressional District, I ask my colleagues to join me in celebrating the extraordinary life and legacy of Bishop Calvin Woods Jr. May he rest in peace, and may his legacy live on in the lives that he touched and in the change that he sparked. Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Larson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise this morning to talk about a very troubling concern that's taking place in Congress. Madam Speaker, you may be aware that the so-called DOGE group, it's a group of individuals that was put together by Elon Musk and President Trump. They have been unvetted and unaccountable, and Madam Speaker, now have gotten the data of more than 300 million of our fellow Americans. They have taken that data and put it in a cloud, making it vulnerable to be hacked. It's in an unsecured position by people who had no right to go into individuals' personal data and information. Madam Speaker, I asked Chairman Estes yesterday if he would call a hearing on this so that we could bring the whistleblower who made this evident and clear that this data is being kidnapped and taken to a cloud, which means, for those of you that don't understand this, an unsecure place. The Social Security Administration has no idea. And when I asked my fellow Republican colleagues if they had any idea where this data was, they had no idea either. It's long overdue that as an equal branch of government, we hold the executive branch accountable when they are taking people's personal data and Social Security and taking that information and exposing it. There is no reason why any 24-year-old, unvetted, unaccountable person should have access to any American Social Security information. Madam Speaker, you have more than 177,000 Social Security recipients in your own district. Is there not one Republican who will stand up and say, we need a hearing, we demand to know where this information is, we want to know why they need this information? I think you know why. Because they want to privatize Social Security. Because they're dissembling Social Security from within. Democrats are aware of this, but all citizens, whether you're Republican or Democrat or unaffiliated, you ought to be concerned and shocked by the fact that your data, your personal information, has been hacked by people who were not vetted and are unaccountable and have placed this in a cloud, meaning in a insecure place that anyone could hack into. Imagine that the Social Security Administration has no idea what they've done with this data. And DOJ, we asked Elon Musk and DOJ to come before this committee on Ways and Means, and they refused to come. Why? Because they believe they're above the law. They don't believe that they're accountable to an equal branch of government. And now they've gone in and taken the data that they were after. Why is Elon Musk after it? Because that data contains information about the $2.7 trillion of the people's money that's in Social Security. And if I sound a little angry, it's because I am. And every American ought to be angered and outraged that this is going on. We vowed to protect their information and keep it safe and secure. And this administration and Elon Musk have sent DOJ into Social Security to take this information. It is morally wrong. It is not legal, and it's long overdue
The gentleman's time
that
is
we
up.
take action. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Hawaii, Ms. Tukonda, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When the Armed Services Committee reported out this year's NDAA, it was a bill I was proud to support. Months of bipartisan work, careful oversight, and real provisions to strengthen our national defense. That's the kind of process this committee is known for. But as we've sadly seen before, the amendments being considered are largely partisan poison pills, set to once again diminish the bipartisan work of our committee. Through a closed partisan process, Rules Committee Republicans stripped away balance and accountability. They denied Democrats, and by extension, our constituents, the chance to openly debate issues that demand answers, like the National Guard in our streets, the
purges at the Pentagon, or the abuse of Trump's unilateral military force abroad. Not surprisingly, not one of my amendments, 10 of them I submitted, were made in order. So let me tell you what Republicans apparently don't care about. Accountability for predators. I offered an amendment to disinter Dr. Robert McCormick Brown, a man accused of sexually abusing dozens of students in Hawaii, from the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. A predator like that does not deserve to rest amongst heroes. But Republicans said no. By refusing to act, they're once again protecting a pedophile, allowing him to lie in a place of honor instead of standing amongst survivors and justice. Taking care of veterans. I propose suspending commissary debit card fees that unfairly tax veterans and their caregivers. I also propose eliminating medical copays for Native Hawaiian veterans, the same health care benefits that Native American and Alaska Native veterans currently receive. Republicans said no. Apparently, they believe veterans should keep getting nickeled and dimed for basic health care and food. Safe housing for service members. I proposed an amendment to increase investment in barracks for unaccompanied service members and establish clear timeliness standards for maintenance work orders. No service member should be forced to live with black mold, broken plumbing, and unsafe conditions, and I've walked through those barracks myself. But Republicans said no, again. I guess they're fine sending troops off to war and combat than sending them home to live in squalor. Standing up to China, I introduced an amendment requiring congressional approval before advanced AI chips, critical to our most sophisticated weapons and intelligence systems, could be exported to Beijing, blocked. I also proposed raising the Taiwan Security Cooperation Initiative cap to $8.5 billion, fully paid for with existing tariff revenue that's coming in to strengthen Indo-Pacific deterrence. Republicans still said no. If this is their idea of strength, China will be the one that wins. And it wasn't just me that didn't get amendments included in the NDA. Many of my colleagues put forward common sense ideas like prohibiting the deportation of veterans without due process, as in the case of my constituent, Mr. Se-Jun Park, or clarifying that the National Guard can't be turned into an immigration police force, and yet both of these amendments were blocked. Ms. Speaker, here's the truth. It's an intentional choice that we make to take an oath to be of the people and for the people. In a democracy, we debate, we vote, we let the American people see exactly where we stand. And in an autocracy, that choice is stripped away. Dissent is silenced, and decisions are made behind closed doors. That is the difference, that is the danger, that is a choice. Shutting down debate isn't just about dysfunction. It's a betrayal of our oath and our disservice to every single service member, veteran, and family who depends on us. They've fought for us. They've sacrificed for us. They've died for us. They deserve leaders who fight for them, not politicians who game the process. I will always stand up for Hawaii service members, all of our service members, their families, and the communities that support them. Their sacrifices inspire me every single day. Madam Speaker, there is another way. There is a better way. It's called democracy, and it begins with the choice. Thank you, and I yield back.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until noon today.
Madam Speaker, I rise today with profound respect to commemorate
opportunities for minority businesses. Along with Ariel's founder, John Rogers, he championed using business diversity versus minority procurement. He was an influential force behind the work of the United States Congress's first Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee under the powerful Financial Services Committee led by the Honorable Maxine Waters, who then appointed me to be the first chair in the history of this Congress of Diversity and Inclusion. And he and those at Ariel reminded us early on that there is no shortage of high-performing, diverse-owned firms. And I could clearly do a roll call of listing all of those firms. And it reminded me of something that I was told. As John Rogers was testifying, and Malik and I were witnesses to watching him, he said, as Reverend Jackson says, baseball became a better sport when Jackie Robinson was allowed to play. The financial services industry is well served by many dynamic leaders who look like Jackie Robinsons, who are job creators, philanthropists, and play important roles in being role models in our communities and across America. Malik, along with John Rogers, taught me a lesson that I carry with me today. Diversity is not only those you hire, but with whom you do business. True economic power is going beyond service contracts. True business diversity includes diverse hires in private equity, in wealth management, those who handle your money, accountants who protect your books, lawyers who advise you. And that is why it is important that we look at all industries, whether they be hospitals or museums or universities or tech companies, and the list goes on, because this is America. And we all deserve to have equality. No, equality and equity. And that's what this great America is about. Opening doors, expanding opportunities, making sure that our young children can dare to dream and know if they can see it, they can be it. For them to know that while they are here today, they are reaching for their there tomorrow. So I say to the family of Malik Todd Murray, we salute him. We thank you for allowing him to share his young life with us. He will be deeply missed, but I promise you, his work will not be forgotten. Thank you, and I yield back.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Taylor, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize two of Southern Ohio's outstanding young women who have proudly made the 2nd Congressional District home to both Miss Ohio and Miss Ohio's teen, Allison Payton and Olivia Fossen. Allison is a Chillicothe native and rising senior at Zane Trace High School, was crowned Miss Ohio's 2025 Outstanding Teen this past June. A newcomer to the pageant world, Allison was encouraged to get involved last year by a friend from her dance studio. She has been a competitive dancer for 15 years, with tap being her favorite, which she performed during the competition. Allison's service initiative focuses on one-to-one mentoring relationships, a meaningful way to empower and uplift youth in our communities. Examples like hers inspire students to work hard, serve those around them, and find ways to give back to their communities. Just this past weekend, Allison went on to represent Ohio in the 2025 Miss America's Teen Competition, finishing as a semifinalist. Southern Ohio is so proud of her and will continue cheering her on in her future endeavors. Olivia Fossen earned the title of Miss Ohio 2025 in June of this year. She grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Kitts Hill and made history as the first Miss Ohio from Lawrence County. Olivia is proud of her rural and Appalachian roots and hopes to be a role model for other small-town girls. She is a musical theater graduate of Oklahoma City University and is currently pursuing a law degree at The Ohio State University. Her community service initiative focuses on the importance of fueling your body and recognizing when you need rest. It's her mission to share her story so that those struggling with body image issues know they aren't alone. She hopes to promote sustainable habits and a positive self-image for the next generation. Olivia represented our Buckeye State in the Miss America competition this past weekend, showcasing the best Ohio has to offer and making her hometown proud. These programs are part of the Miss America Scholarship Organization, the largest scholarship provider to young women in the world. As a father of 3 girls, I'm happy to see young women like Allison and Olivia setting a great example for girls around them of confidence, a solid work ethic, and a drive to serve others. This program is more than just a pageant. It promotes healthy living, creative expression, and academic achievement, while offering scholarship opportunities that help young women achieve their educational dreams. It fosters personal growth, professional development, and a powerful network of female leaders who are making a difference in their communities and beyond. Its mission is simple yet powerful, to prepare great women for the world and the world for great women. Allison and Olivia, Southern Ohio is proud of your accomplishments and the ways you've given back to our Buckeye State communities. We are cheering you on and can't wait to see what you'll achieve in the years ahead. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to remember Matthew Juniper, a former member of the Wellston Police Department who tragically passed away on August 30th, 2025 due to an off-duty accident. Throughout his life, Matthew demonstrated a deep commitment to his community through serving as a police officer, a former deputy sheriff, and volunteer firefighter. Matthew consistently put his community first, was a beloved member of the police department. His colleagues described him as a joy to be around and everything you want in a police officer. Beyond his role as a first responder, Matthew was a loving father, son, and brother who enjoyed the simple pleasures of life, hunting, fishing, and spending time with family. Matthew will be fondly remembered by his friends and family who will carry him with them in everything they do. It's people like Matthew, people who put service above self, that make this country exceptional. My thoughts and prayers are with Matthew's family, as he will never be forgotten. Please join me in a moment of silence to recognize Matthew and pray for his family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the extraordinary career of my dear friend, Herbert Bellamy Jr., the longest-serving member and chairman of the Buffalo Sewer Authority Board, who recently retired after 33 years. After being appointed to the board in 1991, Herb was elected as chair in July 1st, 1994. As chairman, Herb championed diversity, equity, and inclusion among the authority's workforce, appointing the first black general manager in the authority's history and expanding contract opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses. Through his steady leadership, Herb has set a standard for navigating challenges while keeping the focus on service and community. So when the Niagara Business Association sought a new president, it was only fitting that Herb was entrusted with the role this past July. In each and every endeavor, Herb has built a culture of accountability and empowerment. As CEO of Bellamy Enterprises, Buffalo Black Achievers, and Niagara Falls Black Achievers, among many other hats he wears, Herb has consistently created platforms that amplify excellence in our community and nurture the next generation of leaders. Building on his father, Herb Bellamy Sr.'s legacy, the Bellamy name remains synonymous with leadership, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to uplifting communities too often overlooked. The Bellamy family's impact on our community is also felt through Herb and his wife Marilyn's 3 children, Jason, Chantel, and Brandon, and their grandson Jackson. I've had the distinct privilege of working alongside Herb over the years, and I've seen firsthand the quiet strength, humility, and conviction he brings to every room. Herb has helped lay the foundation for a more just, more inclusive, and more vibrant future for every Western New Yorker. Herb, thank you for your service, for your vision, and for showing all of us what it means to lead with heart, with purpose, and with people in mind. May your next chapter be filled with the same passion and dedication that has defined your incredible journey so far. On behalf of a grateful community,